This is SoapBox Radio. Potting it out there with my Lime Boots. The Lifestyle Edit.
Hey guys, it's Ryan. It's a Thursday afternoon and welcome to SoapBox Radio this afternoon as we go exploring in this beautiful country we call home. I truly feel blessed to live in South Africa and love taking in her diversity. Today I'm doing an outside broadcast from a venue I believe is unique unto itself, here in the heart of Pretoria. Known as the Winelands in Gauteng, today's location boasts Cape Dutch-style architecture, superbly laid out on a 16-hectare estate, and man, the jacaranda-lined drive on entering the estate is one for the books. But more on that shortly. Before we get into that show, thank you for all who joined us for last week's show as we chatted to Travel Bug Rose about her adventure travels and her love for the Garden Route region of South Africa. I hope you've been checking out her blog posts, especially the one entitled How to Ride Like a Girl. Some truly inspiring words in that post. Back to today's show, let's chat to a lady who is passionate about South Africa and obsessed with sharing everything awesome about her lovely country, especially when it's related to culture and travel.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go.
So let me introduce today's guest to you. She says the travel bug hit her as a child as she discovered South Africa through the countless road trips with her family. 2003 saw her backpack from Joburg to Malawi via Mozambique, which she says was a defining trip for her. Her Twitter handle, Mzansi was inspired during the 2010 World Cup, after which she continued posting about her love of travel via this medium as a microblogger. She started formally blogging in 2012, and 16 months later resigned her job to focus on sharing her African travel love. She currently pursues a freelance travel writing and blogging, as well as a digital media consulting business, and declares, I am passionate about creating good content and assisting small businesses in harnessing the power of digital media. With introductions made, let's jump straight into today's discussion. Welcome Mzansi Meruschka.
Hi Ryan, thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you. Have I summed you up correctly, Meruschka, and your journey so far?
I think so. Yeah, haven't realized it's been that long that I've been in this industry, but yeah, it's been an adventure, and I've had lots of fun along the way. And I think that's a lot what I'm about is doing fun things, having a good time, and traveling and sharing it with everyone.
It's always interesting to hear somebody else talk about you, and you get you a chance to reflect a little bit on what life has actually been. And we live life every day ourselves. We don't notice those small incremental things which happen, but when you add it all together, it results in an amazing life.
Yeah, Twitter just told me yesterday that it was 8 years since I started my Mzansi Twitter
word.
handle. So that's kind of where it all started. So yeah, it's quite fitting. And yeah, I just remember those great times in the car. Finding a beach, fishing with my dad, so many great, great travel memories.
Yeah. You have a rather unique approach to travel, Meruschka, I dare say fueled by passion. I know you to be a very passionate person. Talk to me about your approach and your application within travel.
For me, I think travel's always been something personal. Everyone travels in their own way. So on my blog and social media platforms, I try and have as much fun as I can when I travel, and I try to share that enthusiasm with people. I'm also very passionate about arts and culture and heritage, and whenever I go I try and have that sort of angle on things. I love music festivals and live music, and I'm hugely passionate about my city, Johannesburg. So a lot of what I do reflects on that. My personality, I think, tries and comes out very clearly on my blog and social platforms.
Okay, so it's important for you to find a connection with the place you're speaking about? Definitely,
and also the people too. I mean, for me, travel is a lot about people, and there's sharing people's stories is always an inspirational thing. I mean, much as we're here today sharing my story, I love sharing other people's stories as I travel and finding the special things.
You must have come across some interesting stories, some phenomenal stories.
Yes, there have been some really, really interesting ones, some really exciting, fun ones, and some a little bit more, hectic.
Okay. I know you to be passionate because when we've done road trips together, we had that one chance on that one road trip where we left out of East London. We said, let's go find this museum. And I know this place over here. And we found cows on the side of the road in Eastern Cape. And I think that makes for great content where you are invested in what you're doing,
Yeah, I think you definitely have to be invested. And also, I think it's important to have a plan, but I think it's great to have time to be spontaneous. So when you're on a road trip, don't leave an hour or two just to stop at a random place. Don't take it too fast. Find the interesting things that are on the way, and get off the beaten beaten track a little.
Yeah, very much so. I think too much structure can be a bad thing. You don't allow that space to let things happen as they naturally unfold, especially in road trips.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very spontaneous person. So if something exciting is happening, I want to get on the road and get off the road and be onto it. So it's nice to have a little bit of a plan, but it's also nice to freewheel a bit.
You could have some sort of structure, you know. Meruschka, you call yourself an Afrophile. Talk to me about this.
I'm very passionate about our continent. I think we live in the most amazing continent. It's been, I think the media hasn't always given Africa its fair share, kind of treating it in that sort of way that it's, with the poor little stepchild, pity all the poor African countries. And I think especially from a travel perspective and a lifestyle perspective, it's important to share the different sides of Africa's story and the different narratives. There is not one Africa. We've got all these amazing countries, and each country has so many different cultures and so much heritage. And I think we need to, start talking about Africa's many stories and its different narratives. And I think by Afrophile, it's my passion for Africa and telling Africa's stories and sort of changing the narrative from the negative stereotypes to a more positive one.
Do you see that change happening? I mean, you've been doing it for a number of years now. Do you see a change coming about in how we report on Africa?
I think there's definitely a change happening. Especially this past year. I mean, it's the rise of the Afrofuturism movement with movies like Black Panther. People are definitely a lot more interested in traveling to Africa, and we've also. I mean, when I first started my blog, everything that was written about South Africa and African travel was just like safari. That's why you come to Africa.
That's the only reason,
You come for a safari and maybe like fit in a little bit of culture. And even then it was very sanitized culture. I wanted to show that,
colonialized type culture.
Exactly. I wanted to show that there's so much more. I mean, we have cities that are equal to others all around the world. I mean, Johannesburg is the most amazing, vibrant city. And we have so much more. We have arts and culture. We have a lot to give the world. I mean, that safari is a very important safari. It's an amazing thing.
Sure.
But there are so much more. There's so much more diversity than the media normally portrays Africa for.
You were involved in the Afropunk concert that took place over New Year's here in Joburg, and leading up to that, doing some work with Afropunk. Give me some reflection on Afropunk.
Oh, it was a fabulous festival. It was really nice to see Johannesburg come alive during that December New Year's period, where it's traditionally known to be super quiet as the Gauteng is make the max exit to the coast. But it was just so nice to see that sort of cultural diversity, people being proud of their African culture, their heritage, the style, the fashion, the style. Sure, Joburgers have style for days. I mean, I think Vogue did a shoot on the fashion at Afropunk. We are really just, I hosted a lot of international media, and one of the media that I hosted was the editor of Teen Vogue, and she was like, Joburg has so much style. And the music, of course, there was amazing music from, South Africa, amazing South African bands, to international bands like Anderson .Paak, who was amazing. He brought in the new year. I danced like crazy.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be one of those festivals that's definitely going to be an attraction to stay in Joburg or to visit Joburg over the period. So I'm very excited to see where it goes over the next few years, because we have it for at least 5 years.
5 years, okay. I'm talking about the corporate space, Meruschka. Talk to me about your move out of corporate into what you're doing now, because in the corporate space you were involved in tourism. Yes,
so before I delved into the world of social media and blogging and digital, I used to work in tourism in a more formal context. I worked in government, doing tourism policy and development I worked at the National Department of Tourism, was my last job. And basically I'd spent sort of 6 years on and off in corporate, and I just kind of needed some space to be creative. I was feeling a little bit stagnant, and I find that corporate wasn't giving me that flexibility to do what I want to do, to achieve what I wanted to achieve in my personal development space. So it was a really difficult move, leaving a steady, pretty well-paying government job where that it's very stable and nothing's really going to happen. I enjoyed it. I got to do some exciting things. And I also got to travel and represent South Africa, which I thought was fabulous. But I just needed more space for creativity to spread my wings.
Okay. When we come back, I'm going to keep chatting to Meruschka, Mzansi girl, and we're going to start delving into South Africa in a little bit more detail.
This is SoapBox Radio. Potting it out there with My Line Boots. The Lifestyle Edit. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at My Line Boots.
I'm live this afternoon and chatting to intrepid traveller Meruschka Govender, aka Mzansi. Meruschka, what is your favourite South African city? You're a Durbanite through and through, or is this not where your heart lies?
Oh, that's a really hard one. I grew up in Durban, spent most of my childhood there, and I love it to bits. It's an amazing city. I mean, on the beach, best weather in South Africa, and such a rich culture. But I've spent more of my adult life in Johannesburg, and I think my heart lays here these days.
Oh, really? Oh, you're no Joburger now?
I'm a Joburger, naturalized Joburger now.
Yeah. Okay.
I just love the energy of the city. It's just changing and evolving so much. I remember when I came to Joburg as a first year varsity student at Wits, it was so different back then. I mean, I lived in Braamfontein then. It was very different to Braamfontein now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, I love that it's becoming the city that the world is looking up to in terms of fashion, in terms of music, in terms of culture and arts. There's just so much going on, and it's really sort of shedding its sort of dark reputation. And I think it's only going forward for Johannesburg, and I think it's an exciting time to be here and to live here, especially the inner city. I mean, the inner city is
that's where my heart lies too.
Mine too. Just changing all the time, and you can go out there and walk these streets and see this amazing street art, and you see these young people skating, like super fashion conscious, but also with their own personal style. And And Joburg is just beautiful people. I was at a concert yesterday at Fatal Music, and I just looked around and I was like, yo, this city is lovely. It's so diverse. And that's what I love about it. It really feels cosmopolitan. I mean, it feels African, but it feels cosmopolitan African. It feels like this Afro-futuristic city, and that, things that are happening if you're a startup, if you're a big global corporate, it's a city of migrants, a city of gold. People come there for hope. So, I'm passionate about Joburg. I
love how each of our major cities, I'll just talk about the three, Joburg, Cape Town and Durban, but I think it extends to all cities in South Africa, how they each have their own personality, So a trip to Durban is a wonderful experience, as is a trip to Cape Town or Kimberley, maybe, if that's what you do,
I agree. I mean, and that's why I love traveling in South Africa. All our cities have very, very different and unique culture. And people are also quite proud of their city. I mean, and so you should be.
Yeah.
I mean, even within those cities, and there's little subcultures around. And I think that's why South Africa is such a great country, because we are so diverse.
Speaking of interesting cities, we're sitting this afternoon in Pretoria, in the heart of Pretoria. Who would have thought? Looked in the Tshwane winelands, called the winelands of Gauteng, Kievits Kroon this afternoon. Have you been here before?
I have. I've been here a while ago for a conference. It's a really beautiful building. You do think you're in the winelands with this Cape Touch architecture, and such a beautiful Pretoria afternoon. It's really nice and warm. You won't say that it's winter. I'm
winter.
In a t-shirt. It's so much warmer out here, and there's lovely birds flying around, and we had the most amazing lunch. So Kievits Kroon.
Enjoying it, eh? In terms of favourite cities, your favourite African city, if I can press you on that one?
Another hard one. I have a deep love for Maputo. I just love that sort of Mozambican vibe. I love that it's a beach city. It reminds me a bit of Durban.
Yeah, it is very like Durban.
Yeah, but it's just a bit hotter and a bit sweatier.
The potholes are a bit deeper.
The potholes are a bit deeper. But the people of Maputo are just super nice. There's a really great energy around them. The nightlife is amazing. Great arts and music scene. And then, I mean, it's also a great place for which to explore Mozambique. And another great city that I really enjoyed lately is Nairobi, and I'm hopefully going back there at the end of the month. But also just really great energy about it, and the people are so nice.
Yeah. How do you maintain your feminine edge in your writing?
I don't think it's the easiest thing. I'm not the girliest girl, first of all. I'm out there doing crazy
Although
things.
you rocked that scarf and that Mustang the other day, so
I did. That's kind of like more of an exception. I'm the girl who hangs out with all the boys.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, to write things from your perspective. And I think as women, we are quite, caring and nurturing. And I figured that about myself, that I'm a nurturer. And, we care about people a lot. So I think that's an important part for me in telling my story is showing that sort of, nurturing, caring side and like how things, how I relate to things, basically.
Yeah. Talking about your writing, do you think that your experience of trips, especially these adventure trips as a lady, is different? I was speaking to Rose, Travel by Rose, last week, and I asked her the same question. Being a woman, do you find that doing trips that are predominant, historically have been male-orientated trips, do you find you experience these trips differently as a woman?
I'm not sure how I experience them as a man, but I think it's probably a little bit different. Like, I know for myself, I call myself a soft adventurer. I'm nowhere near as adventurous as Rose, but I've also been working on my, I challenge myself. Like, heights are not my thing. They really scare me. especially ledges and things. And I feel as a girl, we kind of get a little bit more flack, like, oh, you can't do it. You can't do it, and I think that's part of the edge that pushes you. Like, okay, I know it's gonna be scary, but I'm gonna do it, because even just to show the boys that I can do it.
Yeah. I saw you zip lining. Where were we when we were zip lining in the Magaliesberg earlier this year? Was it last year sometime? I think it was last year. And you were game. You were the first one ready to jump off that zip line, and it was quite intense. We had trouble trying to find where the line was going initially, but there you were on the zip line.
Yeah, no, remember, this is probably like the 6th or 7th time that I've been ziplining.
Okay.
You should have seen me the first time.
Okay.
I wasn't the same. I wasn't that eager. Now I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Bring it on. Bring it.
What's the most adventurous thing that you've done to date? What has been the most exciting adventure that you've been on or experienced or enjoyed?
I think for me, I went on this crazy river rafting trip when I was in Kenya 2 years ago, and it was like intense. I'd been river rafting before. Like, I've been river rafting in India on the Ganges and the Zambezi, and the Zambezi at Vic Falls is supposed to be pretty crazy. But then we went on the Tana, I think it was called the Tana River, in Kenya, and that was insane. Like, there were these crazy rapids. There was like a little waterfall. Oh, speaking of waterfalls, I went kloofing when I was in Reunion Island, and that I was not ready for that. Like, I did not really know exactly what kloofing involved.
Now you do.
Until we went down a waterfall, just with a helmet, and just literally went down a waterfall. And they didn't tell us about this waterfall. They're just like, there's gonna be a surprise, and suddenly you're like, oh my god, I just went down like a 5-meter waterfall. That was pretty crazy, because I don't do heights. Those sort of cliff jumps for me were scary. So anything to do with heights and ledges.
Not your thing, eh?
Not really my thing, but I'm trying.
Yeah. Okay, well done on you for that. Stay tuned. When I'm back, we'll be chatting further to Meruschka.
This is SoapBox Radio. Potting it out there with My Line Boots. The Lifestyle Edit. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at My Line Boots.
I'm live this afternoon chatting to intrepid adventurer Meruschka, also known as Mzansi. Meruschka, responsible tourism is very much the buzzword at the moment, and you presented the African Responsible Tourism Awards at World Travel Markets Africa in Cape Town earlier this year. Talk to me about responsible tourism and what these awards mean to our continent.
I think all tourism should be responsible tourism, and responsible tourism, if you don't know what it means, it's basically tourism that makes the least impact on your environment. Be it socially, environmentally, and I mean, obviously you have to be economically sustainable. So there's other words that have been used, like sustainable tourism. It's essentially the same thing. Except responsible tourism also has quite a communities are quite important in that too. I think responsible tourism is super important for everyone. The tourism industry is as a sustainability. I mean, all businesses across every field, but especially in tourism, because tourism is one of those things that can really sort of make an impact on a place, on a local community or city. I mean, you look at cities that are like overrun by tourism now, like Barcelona. Citizens are actually protesting. They don't want any more tourists because they can't go to restaurants. Rent is getting too expensive for them. So tourism should I think all tourism should be taken from a responsible perspective. I mean, if you're out in a game farm or super remote areas, where are the communities and how are they benefiting from tourism? Are they getting employed in the lodge, but are they getting trained? They're not just doing menial tasks, because tourism labor can be kind of like, again, that sort of colonialism debate. Also, like places like islands where like waste is an issue, like it was World Oceans Day on Friday. I think that if you are in a beach resort or any sort of water activities, you want your ocean to be pristine so that you actually have a business in 20 years' time. Otherwise, I mean, you're not going to have the business if the coral reefs are degrading, so your scuba divers aren't coming. So I think it's absolutely fundamental to the tourism industry for it to be sustainable in the long term. So you want to keep these pristine environments as pristine as they are. At the same time, you want to involve communities and create economic opportunities.
Yeah. I was speaking to Gary Jackson, the founder of Jackson's Real Food Market, and we were talking about sustainability from a food point of view and also getting the community involved. And they say that they look towards 7 generations ahead. What the decisions they're making now, how will that impact upon 7 generations going forward? And I think it's something we need to be doing and thinking about. Are the tourism operators and people within that space, are they taking responsible tourism seriously? Are you finding that?
I think people are getting better at it. I think we've still got a way to go. I think in South Africa we're doing a pretty good job compared to other destinations worldwide. I mean, we have responsible tourism standards. It's in our national tourism policy, responsible tourism policy papers. So from a perspective of we're actually doing pretty well, but the actual industry still, I think there's still a way to go in terms of getting more involved. I think that's why it's important for awards like the African Responsible Tourism to acknowledge best practice in the sector, and so people can learn from each other. And it's quite exciting to see the innovations that people are coming with especially like now in Cape Town, the whole water crisis. Tourism businesses have been doing some really, really interesting stuff down there. It's
interesting you raised that point. When I was in Cape Town for World Travel Markets, I did a bit of a water show as well. And I interviewed a couple of people. One of them was a lady who runs a guest house in Simonstown. And she was saying by putting all the water in, running responsibly with water and turning off the hot water to the taps in the bathroom, she was finding she was saving on her electricity bill. So, I mean, there's these economics incentives for people to be applying these approaches to tourism, you know?
Definitely. I mean, once you start doing water and energy audits on your property and, you get the solar in, you get the LED lights, it's going to cost you some upfront really
capital
upfront. And I think the Department of Tourism actually have grants for some of these things already.
Yeah.
I think it's called some sort of greening initiative where they will actually give you some of that money back in grants. I can't specify, but I think that's really, really good too, to get our industry to operate more responsibly.
So how do I, as a average Joe Soap person tourist, how do I make sure that I'm being responsible? It's one thing for the operator to be responsible. How do I make sure that I'm being a responsible tourist?
I think do your research on your destination and the operators that you're going with. So whether it be your hotel or your guest house or your tour company activities, look at who they're employing. Are they employing local people? Look at do they have any corporate social initiatives that they're involved in? Do they have policies for water and energy use and recycling and waste management? Because the companies who are actually doing this are generally very good at telling you about it. So they will actually have responsible tourism policies on their website, and if you're not sure, ask them. I think a very big issue at the moment is, especially in South Africa and Africa, is animal interactions, and
big issue.
It's something that I'm very passionate about, is animal interactions and tourism. I don't feel like we should be encouraging any interactions with wild animals in any way. The whole lion petting industry, and it's not good stuff, and that's definitely not responsible tourism. So as much as things might be Instagrammable, if I see another person Instagramming a picture of them petting a lion, and call out people on that, call out operators, call out destinations and say, why are you doing this?
It's not just about petting that lion cub, but that's not the problem. That's not the issue. It's part of the issue. It's a very small part of the issue. Talk to us about what the actual issue really is.
Well, the actual issue, if you really want to know more, go watch a movie, a documentary. I think it's out online called Blood Lions. But the start of the whole captive bred lion industry is basically these little baby lions get bred, and for the first 9 months of their life, they're all sweet and cuddly, and you can go and pet them for a fee in a lion park, and they make lots of money off you. But once those baby lions are habituated to humans, they can never really be released in the wild, because now they see humans as friends. They've been bottle fed, they've been hand reared, their mothers don't get to take care of them, and they basically get sold into the lion hunting industry, the can hunting industry, and people don't realize that. They go there all innocent, like, we're gonna pet them, it's all for research, but no,
not at all.
Those lions are either getting hunted or they're getting sold for lion bones to the east. So lion bone trade is a thing, and some of it's actually legal. So it is, and just know that this is how you're encouraging it. You're actually supporting
this whole industry. Yeah. Great. When we come back, Meruschka, I want to chat to you about content creation and how you go about it. I'll be back now with the Mzansi.
This is SoapBox Radio. Potting it out there with my line boots. The Lifestyle Edit. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at MyLineBoots. I'm chatting this afternoon to Meruschka Govender, also known as Mzansi. Meruschka, you're passionate about content creation. Tell me, what is your process? How do you go about making content that you are happy with, that you feel communicates something that you're passionate about?
I think everyone's got their own sort of style when it comes to content creation, and I think for me it's a lot about sort of expressing my personality that when it comes out. So whether it be a photo or a tweet or a blog post, it kind of reflects my personality, how I would say things, my experience of a place, how I would put things. For example, like I've been doing a little bit of some more interesting things with local fashion brands and things these days. So it's like I never really thought I'd be doing that, but it's actually quite fun, and I have quite a sort of quirky personality, so that comes through in my content. You're also involved with Travel Massive. You're one of the chapter leaders of the Joburg Travel Massive chapter. Tell us about Travel Massive and why it's important to the travel industry. So Travel Massive is a global networking platform for anyone in the travel industry, be it travel professionals who work in hospitality or accommodation or tour operator sectors, or media and bloggers and content creators. So anyone who's involved in Travel Massive in the tourism industry can sign up. It is a free membership. Basic membership is free, and then you can join a chapter in your cities. I think there's over 200 chapters now in cities across the world. And once you join a chapter, so chapters have meetings fairly regularly, and it's a great way to network with people in your city who are in the same industry as you. Meet people, make connections, but also when you travel, it's a great way to network. So if you are in, London or Berlin or Nairobi, you can join a local chapter while you're there, and they might have a meeting, and then you meet people in your industry. So it's really great for networking. There's also great forums and job boards. So if you're looking for jobs, or if you have to advertise a job, you can put it up there. You can ask questions, and it's just a great resource for meeting people and networking in the industry. Yeah. Okay. What is your itinerary looking like for the rest of the year, Meruschka? At the moment, I'm going to Cape Town next week, and then hopefully at the end of the month, holding thumbs that all things come through, I'm going to Kenya again, country that I've been to, I think 3 times now. And I really, really enjoy it there. It's just awesome, fabulous place with great tourism product and fascinating culture. Yeah. And then a couple of other things I can't really talk about yet because they're not final. So. Yeah, okay. Busy year ahead, still ahead of you, eh? Hopefully. Yeah. Meruschka, in addition to travel writing and blogging, you also do digital media consulting, and you work with small businesses and host workshops. Tell us a little bit more about that. Yeah, basically, I feel like, tourism and travel it's a collaborative sector, and there's so much opportunity for small businesses to, use content, learn to create their own content without, spending an arm and a leg. And I feel that there's just, skills that need to be shared, that small businesses can do so much with a few simple skills and a few tools, and they can manage their own social media. And I feel like there's a long way to go to teach small businesses to do that. And I love, sharing my love and tips and sort of easy things that you can do as a small business to help grow your social presence. Well, it's almost time for us to jump back in our Land Rover and leave. Our show is nearly over. Did you enjoy our drive here in that rather comfortable car? And I mean, look at this amazing place it's brought us to. It's a fun car to drive. It was super smooth. Actually, I just didn't realize how quickly we got here. Normally you feel like Pretoria is quite far away. We're in the north side, so it's like basically like another province. But it went so smoothly, and it's a beautiful car. Yeah, we had a good drive. Meruschka, as we wrap up, tell me, what has life taught Meruschka Govender to date? Life has taught me lots of things. I always feel like I'm continuously learning. Life has taught me that I to value and be grateful for everything that I have, the people in my life, from my amazing supportive family to my wonderful network of friends across the globe. It's taught me that you have to persevere and be strong. I've also had some interesting hard, difficult times, and you just have to persevere and be strong and get through things. I mean, I'm not a religious person, in any way, but I do think that sort of faith and believing in something, even if it's just yourself, is very, very important. Where can the folks get hold of you? So I'm very easy to find over all the social networks. Mzansi Girl, it's MZANSIGRL. That's my handle on all the social media, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then my blog is nzanzigold.com.
Meruschka, that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing a glimpse into what is your life these days. And I wish you happy travels ahead.
Thanks, Ryan. It's great to be here.
Cool. Well, guys, that brings us to the end of another episode of SoapBox Radio. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next week.
You've been listening to SoapBox Radio, potting it out there with my Lime Boots.